absolutely adore her. Right, are you ready for your next comic? Then would you kindly welcome to the stage, it is Miss Sally Firth!
We know that shit ain't real. Come on.
Hello everyone, it's so lovely to see you, although you probably weren't expecting to see me up here. I'm usually cage fighting on Fridays. Unfortunately, I've been banned. It's something to do with not understanding what no holds barred means. So Matt said I could try some stand-up comedy. I've got a lot of time on my hands since the Samaritans asked me to leave. I did try adult education, but words cannot describe the humiliation that was life drawing for beginners. I know they say a bad workman blames his tools, but there are some images not even a 6B pencil can capture. I almost didn't make it today. My bail was only granted this afternoon. What a fuss to make about pepper spraying someone who had their feet on the tube seat. Oh, by the way, my name's Sally, as Matt said, and I'm married to Roger. He's an oxymoron. By that I mean he's too stupid to be allowed to breathe. For years he thought the Paralympics was the Olympics in Paris. Roger and I are both at home during the day, though he's still working and I'm retired. I do my best to keep my distance. For example, I have my lunch, usually a tuna baguette and a chicken cup of soup, on a tray in front of the television so I can catch up on the latest episode of My Lover, My Killer. If I want some light relief, there's always meet, marry, murder. After lunch, I might spend some time on my serial killer jigsaw. I have completed the Yorkshire Ripper, but I'm still looking for Jeffrey Dahmer's head. Roger has his lunch on a tray in his study. Sometimes I mess with his head by taking him coffee in a mug marked tea. I always make sure to WhatsApp Roger before going upstairs, just in case he's getting some light relief. We don't want a repeat of the Trump inauguration fiasco. Roger also has an hour to himself most days when I go for my walk, during which time he can release his tensions. Now, ladies, we know that men have needs, but we don't have to be there when they satisfy them. Roger's like a lot of men, I suppose. He thinks about sex when he's doing other things. I think about other things. When I'm doing sex with him. He's not very romantic either. If I want my hand held, I have to go to the nail bar. Thank you. Sex with Roger. It's like going to the hairdresser. In the beginning, you're full of optimism, thinking this time it will be different. Halfway through, you realise you're not going to get the desired result. And at the end, even though you're disappointed, you say, thank you. That was lovely. When they show you your rear view in the mirror. And 6 weeks later, you have to do it all again. I have tried bringing a photograph to show what I wanted, but that didn't work. Oh, and as for offering a tip at the end, don't even go there. Now, you might think that Roger would be good at sex, because he spends so much time practicing when I'm out. But sadly, that's not the case. All these years together, and he still needs a sat-nav to find my G-spot. We have tried role play. Roger pretended he was head of the household. And I pretended I believed him. So you can understand how upset I was when he said to me recently, "You are so predictable. Why don't you ever surprise me? Dress up or something." So the next day, when he got back from his walk, I did surprise him. I was wearing his mother's clothes. He wasn't laughing. I always thought he wanted me to be more like Lucy, but it didn't go down well. I think it was too soon after her funeral. If I'd known Roger had a weak heart, I'd have done that ages ago. Anyway, the ambulance men were amazing. I take my hat off to them. It was Roger's mother's hat. Oh, that reminds me. Years ago, when our son Johnny was little, Roger refused to take me out to lunch on Mother's Day because he said I wasn't his mother. So this year, on Father's Day, I'm going to tell you, you're not Johnny's father. Some of you might think that was a bit unkind, or even cruel, but Roger's been doing a number of things recently that really irritate me, like waking up. Having said that, when he's asleep, his snoring keeps me awake. I was thinking about buying an anti-snore pillow, but then I realised any pillow's anti-snore if you put it over someone's face. A few days ago I had a surprise. I was in the supermarket and I needed glue. And you know what? They've got a condom machine in the ladies at Tesco. I know you're surprised. You thought I shopped at Waitrose. As I was leaving Tesco, I was approached by a homeless man who said, "Any change?" I had to tell him, "Sorry, no, my husband's still useless in bed." Then when I got to the car park, a random man had to go at me for what he called selfish parking. So I stabbed him. Oh no, of course I didn't. I waited till he was out of sight and then I keyed his car. For my birthday, Roger bought me a gym membership. I was hoping for a widow's pension. When I first arrived, I was intimidated by all the other fit bodies, but then I imagined them with their clothes on, and I was fine. In the dance class, I'm the oldest by about 20 years. I thought the other ladies were looking at me closely because they were stunned by my stamina. But it turns out they're waiting for me to drop dead during Uptown Funk. The other day, one of the ladies in Zumba Gold invited me to an over-60 swingers party. Apparently what you do is everybody puts their medication in a kidney bowl and then you take someone else's out and you have to have sex with the person whose medication you have until one of you needs the actual medication. Now I was quite offended by that. Firstly, that she thought I was over 60, and secondly, that she thought I needed medication. Anyway, much to my surprise, I told Roger about it and he was up for it. Now, I would never have pegged him for a swinging senior. In fact, I've never pegged him at all. But that's another story. When I first met Roger, he already had a girlfriend. She's dead now. Nothing to do with me, obviously. When my mother met him, the first thing she said was, "Well, he can't help what he looks like, but he could stay indoors." She also told me that if I lived with him, he'd never marry me. I wish she'd been right. Within weeks of our meeting, we'd moved in together and we were doing things that married people do. Having sex when only one person wants it. Not having sex when the other person doesn't want it. And lying together, silently, side by side in the darkness after sex, which neither of us wanted, but both of us thought the other one did. I sometimes think I'd rather read a good book than have bad sex, though I can do both at once. These days, though, I do my best not to overstimulate Roger, and to that end I only ever serve decaffeinated coffee in the evenings as a precaution. But if I really want to dampen his ardour, I replace his Viagra with laxatives. I will occasionally oblige though, because I find afterwards he's much more willing to clean the oven. Little tip there for the girls. Well, another little tip for the older ladies, don't get your hysterectomy on Groupon. My friend Angela did, and 6 months later she's still picking the arm filings out of her Spanx. Angela's divorced, sadly. She hasn't got anyone to clean her oven. But she has found a marvellous app that helps her meet suitable men. It's called Check a Trade. Anyway, I really need to be going because I'm due at the comedy store in an hour. One of their bouncers has called in sick, and they've asked me to cover his shift. Thank you very much. I've been Sally Firth. Thank you.